Hi, welcome to Fluketronic. Up now we're going to take another look at this song, Stranger on the Shore. And recently I posted a video of arranging this song for Native American style flute. And I had charts there for standard musical notation and Nakai tab notation for folks that understand and like that style. I had an additional request to look at a finger tab notation for folks that do not like that standard staff notation. So that's what we're going to look at today, a finger tab chart of this song. So I'll go ahead and show you that chart so you can look at that while we're talking a little bit more. So this is the Keep High version. So I've presented two versions of this song, or two arrangements of this song previously. The Keep Low version is really weird for finger tab because it's would really be in a key of E major relative to a flute, which has all kinds of accidentals and stuff. So we're going to use the Keep High version, which is basically from the major scale of the second whole, right? So I'm going to use an A minor flute today. So this would be in C major from the second whole. So one thing you might want to do is just practice that C major scale. Make sure you can get all the notes. Now it is going to use all notes in this arrangement, so you might want to practice that. In particular, you're going to need the F note, which is cross-fingered like this. It's the 1, 2, 3, fourth note on the chart there. You'll also note that there are some orange notes on here, and those are the ones I thought might be particularly troublesome. So the last note in the first line there you see is the half whole B note. So that would take some practice if you're not used to that. And there is a substitution that I can give you at the end if that proves problematic. The other tricky notes are going to be the high N, the high C, and the high B. So the fourth note on the B line, that is that high C note. I've noted this as 3 fingers. Your flute may be entirely different. Some flutes need 4 fingers. Some flutes you may have to bend up into it. So you're going to have to play a little bit on your flute to find what fingering works for that note. And then the other note is the high B, just under that high C. That only appears once, kind of at the end of line B there. So again, I pictured that as the bottom 4 holes. This flute actually wants the middle 4 holes, and yours may be different. So you'll have to play with that to get the right fingering. And again, you can substitute notes if those just aren't working for you. You can pick a different note in the scale and it'll probably work. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a playthrough. And I'm going to use a backing track here. So another word about the backing track. So in my playthrough, I was using an F flute and a lot faster. So I will give you a link to that backing track if you want to try it. But it was at a tempo of 112 beats per minute. The original is at 82 beats per minute. So my version was about half again as fast as the real one. But today, for tutorial purposes, we're going to be using the slow version at 82 beats per minute. And I will give you a link to full backing track of this if you want to practice. Now, the backing track I'm going to post will be basically two playthroughs of the song. So if you want it, there's room for improvisation there, or you can just play the whole song through twice. Okay, so let's go ahead with the playthrough, and yeah, here we go. Okay, let's talk about the orange notes. Now in this song, each of those notes has perfectly acceptable alternatives, and I'll give you some examples of that. Now, I'll actually give you a whole different chart of this with those substitutions, if you'd rather play along with that chart. But every time you have that low B half hole, instead of playing that B, you can just move up 2 notes to the D. So let's look at the last line or last bar of part A. So instead of going all the way down to the B, you can just stop at the D. And that'll work for all of those low Bs in this song. If the high note is giving you trouble, instead of that high C, you can always drop down to the F. So the first line of the B section there, instead of this, you see it kind of gave me a little trouble that time. But instead of that, you can just do this. All right, so just go right back down. And for the high B at the kind of middle of the end of part B there, for that high B, you can just drop down to the G note. So if you're using that F substitution, that little phrase would sound like this. Okay, so that sounds perfectly good. I forgot to mention the F sharp in the middle there. That shouldn't provide too much difficulty. Most flutes will do that. There is an alternate for that, but you probably know that on your flute if that's an issue. And then the only other thing is that at the end of A3 there is actually an in-between note where it goes from E to E flat to D. And for that one, if that's too weird to do this, so there's, you have to go from this to that. If that's too tricky, you can just leave it out. Just don't even play it. You can just go straight from the E to the D. Right, so that would be that phrase with all the substitutions. All right, so I will give you the chart with all those kind of simplified substitutions, and you can use the playthrough with that chart, and it'll sound perfectly fine. So there you go. Again, I'll give you a link to the full backing track. So it'll loop through just twice, so the whole song twice. So if you want to just break out some improv during the second playthrough, have at it. And if you do, I'd love to hear what you do with it. Post back a video or a link, and be glad to listen to that. So till next time, thanks.